So today we must check. Camera 1 on, microphone 1, audio input capture, good. Charts are go. Talking head. Ooh, charts have music. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. All right. Looks good. Let's see. We have chat online. How you doing, people? And I think we're good to go today. All right. So the topic today, it's pretty much the same topic, but different variations. Today we're wondering, everyone's wondering, are we going to get bullish now? Or are we going down further? What is the volume profile telling us? What is PatternCast telling us? So we're all about now. We're all about being completely out there with our trades. And earlier this week, you know that we called or predicted and called. Not just predicted that we were going down. I mean, there were a lot of people that were predicting that Bitcoin would go down. That's you know, I don't think that there was any great revelation in calling Bitcoin going down. I think that the important thing here is to look at how we actually called it and the accuracy to which we called it. All right? There is no real certainty that Bitcoin was going to go down, although most people thought it was. And because it did, they believe then it was 100% certainty, but it never is. Although a descending wedge or descending triangle, some people say, oh, it has more probability of going down. But in actuality, if you go and look at all the different occurrences of all time, there's a slight chance that it goes up over going down. So regardless, I mean, people are going to believe what they want to believe. But when it comes down to it, it really comes down to the statistics, the historical story. What has happened in the past? And then given the context that everything that leads up to the current condition, how does that look like in the past? Now, PatternCast, what did we say? This is what we said. Let's see, are we in the right window here? Which window is this? Yeah, I don't think we have a live window here. So what we need to do let's get rid of that. Turn down Tokyo. Go to here. What did PatternCast do? PatternCast said that we're going to go short if the entry 9338 was triggered. In other words, did we touch it and pass through it? Now, why is that significant? I mean, I guess you could have called a short way up here and still been right? But you really still didn't know. The significance is in what happened at the point at 9338. Look what happened as opposed to, say, 9653, which was right here. It didn't go straight down. It kind of meandered along for several hours, popped back up, came over here. When it hit 9338, it went straight down. Straight down. And then our target. What happened at the target? It consolidated around the target. Now, that may not mean very much to you, other than the fact that that's what PatternCast predicted. PatternCast predicted those precise levels. Now, I should back up and say it's not really precise. Those were the mean averages of looking at 40 different other occurrences of the pattern that it saw. Now, you may be saying, well, oh, did it see the descending triangle? No, PatternCast didn't see that. PatternCast saw a completely different set of patterns that are not really visible to the human eye, or we don't have the capability of going in and looking at PatternCast and then deciphering its gibberish, and I suppose we could. It would take a lot of work, though, and figure out exactly the pattern that it saw, because it looks at hundreds of thousands of patterns. But it found actually two patterns that were very similar, had similar levels, almost to the dollar. And of those two patterns, there were 40 occurrences. 35 of them in the past had proven to be winners. In other words, if you were to take it at the recommended entry point to the target, it would have hit that target 35 out of 40 times, or about 89, or I think that would be about 89.5% or something ridiculous like that. And so that, when you look at that, that is a really, really good edge or a bet. I mean, wouldn't you like to know, coming into a trade, that if you entered here and you exited there, that had occurred 90% of the time in the past. 90%. You would know that that's what happened. That's what gives people confidence in their trading. When they feel comfortable with a system that not only, that's just, again, this is just one call, right? But no, it's not just one call. Since PatternCast has been in operation for a year now, actually October 5th is our 1-year anniversary, we have been showing these types of calls across all kinds of markets: futures, forex, and stocks, ETFs, equities, and now Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, we've been showing at least a 90% win rate. It's actually a little bit higher since we introduced it on August 14th of this year. With an average return or average movement or opportunity within each one of these trades, on average, of a 600-point move. That's like amazing. And every call has been made on the premise of this pattern recognition technology. Precise levels and targets. Now I'm going to, I keep on saying precise. It's so unbelievable that it hits them right on the money. But in fact, the information that PatternCast gives us is a wide range of scenarios. And then what we pick is the sweet spot, the one that gives us the greatest return with the greatest level of expectation. So that's what we report back to our customers. They get these signals every night. All right, I think there's some questions. Did you do the code for the pattern detection algorithm? Well, the truth is that, my partner and I provided some support over time. He is kind of like the architect, but we directed developers to actually do the code. I haven't been in coding for quite some time, probably 12 years or something like that. And some of you might know that my background is as one of the top programmers actually in the world and top technologist. I was the former chief architect for a Fortune 50 company. And but I didn't do any of the code. What I did was I provided some philosophical insights to how PatternCast might behave. And my partner is actually the architect of the system, the primary architect, and then direct developers to actually implement the architectural design. So yeah, it's still our code. Yes, we developed it. That's a long-winded way of saying yes, we developed it. But it's a unique pattern recognition algorithm. It does not exist, and it's more of a generalized pattern recognition algorithm. We're applying it to to tradable things in the markets, but it can be applied to anything. And of course, if V. Lee is here, he's going to say Sportscast. Yes, because we are planning, and we have sites on doing a PatternCast to predict sporting events. It can even be used to predict weather. Anything that has lots of data, it can see patterns in, and then see the occurrence of, the historical occurrence of patterns, and then be able to see that, we have a similar pattern that's setting up now to what has occurred many times in the past. And under these conditions, it acts this way. Under those conditions, it acts that way. Thanks, Ryan. Love you too. No homo. Easy Life. I remember you talking about some of that. I used to follow your old channel before it got hacked. Well, thank you for coming back. Chris says, sorry if you already said this, but what types of data flows through PatternCast? Is it just price action and time, or is it just volume involved in some way? Well, volume actually is not involved in any way, but we're planning on actually adding that to the mix to see if we can get even a better result. My feeling is that we probably can. But really, it is just daily open, close, high, low data that we input into it. That's it. That's it. That's everything. And then it looks at the patterns. So use it for the lottery. See, they spend a lot of money on trying to make the lottery as foolproof as possible by creating a random result. And that would, it might be worth trying, but I don't think that although some people have looked at patterns and they do recognize patterns in the randomness of the lottery results. But that might be interesting. That is the slickest shirt I've seen you on, Ernie. Must be your pool hustling shirt. No. Believe it or not, I do have collared shirts. But I've been working out of my home for, 25 years or something like that. And there's, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I could get all dressed up here and then provide a different character to you. But no, you're getting me here. You're not getting some made-up fantasy world Ernie. This is me, raw and to the point and straightforward. And I just felt like putting on a shirt today. Usually I have a t-shirt, because that's what I wear 99% of the time. Usually a printed t-shirt, because it has something on it that, I like. Or a hat with something on it that I like. So now the volume profile, we're looking at including volume profile in PatternCast. I think that would enhance PatternCast tremendously. A lot of us in the PatternCast group, we use volume profile to help us manage trades after they've already been triggered from a PatternCast signal. And we do that by looking at the profile and identifying areas of support and resistance, supply, demand, that sort of thing. And that certainly does help. But we don't use it to override the signals in PatternCast. We are 100% focused on those signals. They just don't fail us. And a lot of people that come in new to PatternCast at first, because they don't have any experience with it and maybe don't have the confidence in it, are always trying to second guess it until until a few weeks go by, and they keep on trying to fight it with their own ideas and realize, man, I just have to submit to PatternCast. And that's usually what happens. And then everything is copacetic, and they're like, this is unreal. How does it do this time after time after time? It's such a good question. We don't know. We really don't know. We truly, when you start looking at all the philosophical stuff or underpinnings that went into it, you can say that, that philosophy that kind of guided the development PatternCast probably had a lot to do with it. And in fact, probably had everything to do with it. And that philosophical guidance is the same philosophical guidance that I have provided in the videos that I've been creating for the past 10 years, and also with my partner. And we share a lot of the same ideas there. So a lot of that is definitely built into there. Volume profile is not something that my partner is familiar with, really, but he's seen the efficacy of it, and so we're now going to try and put some of that into there as well. But here's a bigger development. A bigger development is that, and this is something that you probably don't know, but we're coming out with new PatternCast services, targeted market services. So in other words, the first one that we're going to release will be a PatternCast for precious metals. And that will include futures, ETFs, and stocks that are all related to those precious metals. And we're going to do something that's specific. That'll be a service specifically to precious metals. And then later on, we'll do one on energy. So it'll have, for the precious metals, it'll have things like gold, silver, platinum, and then maybe the gold miners index, and the GDX and GLD and SLV and other types of assets that are focused on the precious metals industry. And once we get that going, and people like that, and that'll be a relatively inexpensive service. You can get and we'll only sell it by the year. You can get it for like $350 for an entire year if you're into trading precious metals. And then we're going to, online, just so you know. Good. And then we're going to do another service on energy. So it'll include things like crude oil futures, heating oil futures, natural gas, and then all the ETFs that are associated with it, and then stocks for related companies and so forth. And there will be a consolidated, targeted market service that is driven by PatternCast technology. And then one thing that we're working with our broker partner, as you know, that we're in this kind of relationship with one of the biggest brokers in the country and biggest Forex broker in the world, is because they deal a lot with people in agriculture, farmers and so forth, and that they always are hedgers in that industry. We're going to provide an agricultural-based service with PatternCast. So we're going to do all these things. Yeah, Rajdat, is an extra $200 off if you pay. You don't even have to pay in crypto to get the $200 off. All you have to do is use crypto in the coupon code to get another $200 off. So up until October 5th, and that's my birthday, and that is also the 1-year anniversary for PatternCast, we are offering PatternCast at a great deal. Let's see. Can I find it here? Yeah, there it is. So we're offering PatternCast at a discount, a huge discount, $400 discount for the yearly and a $100 discount for the quarterly. And if you use the coupon code CRYPTO, there's 1 week, 1 day left in this deal. If you use the coupon code CRYPTO, you'll get an additional $200 off on the yearly. We can't take any more off on the quarterly. It's already just ridiculously priced here. There's no doubt that if you had taken any of our trades, you can probably pay for the yearly service on any one of those trades easily. So anyways, that's what we have going on. 1 week, 1 day, 12 hours left to that deal. Now, if you want to pay in crypto, you can. When you go to the checkout, there's a way to pay coin payments. And if that doesn't work for you, just let me know. It's a service that we use. It's a payment processor, and we've had a lot of people pay in crypto. All right. So yesterday we had a short from 822 to 805, and that worked out great. We dropped down, came back up, hit the short, and it was a perfect entry. And right after that, we went down far enough that it triggered a long, and so we're in this long entry right now. We're just hovering right around at the entry of that long right now, but it has a target of 86.96. That's 700 points. 700! And that trade there has a 90% occurrence, a historical occurrence of working out. So we're really excited about that. We'll see if that works out. Last night, signals came out and things were indeterminate, which makes sense. PatternCast is going sideways, which is kind of interesting. So we had this previous one that said it's going to go long, and then the next signal saying it didn't know which way it's going to go. So right now we're in that long. Still, we give trades up to 4 days to work, and we'll see if it does pop up. From a bigger picture point of view, it certainly looks that way. You know, when we look here, no, James, it didn't change its mind. If you follow PatternCast long enough, it is providing a view of something with a kind of a 4-day window, and it got a very, very strong view of that long 2 days ago. And then yesterday, because it now is going sideways, that's the new view it has. It doesn't discard the view that happened before, but right now it just sees things, not indeterminate. And that's we see that all the time. So for instance, when PatternCast was hovering up around 10.4 to 10.7, and it was riding at the top of the big triangle. Let's see if we can. When it was hovering up here, it gave us a couple of longs here and there. I mean, this is a daily chart, but it also gave us more indication that it should be going down, and we got a lot of great shorts out of that. So it kept us short, and there were in between days where it was indeterminate, where things were going sideways. But it still had inconclusive trades, some going short, but none going long. Now, not all of them triggered, and they don't have to trigger for us to, start getting a sense for what PatternCast is seeing. All right. So PatternCast on a daily basis gives us insight to where trades, where the price is likely to go. It will then sometimes pick off and find patterns that seem like home runs. Sometimes they're 100% winners. Sometimes they're 90%. Actually, what we get, let's go back to the big head. What PatternCast actually gives us is this array of data points, and saying that, look, there's a pattern setting up right now, and here are 20 different conditions that could occur. Because when we're right here, what are the possibilities that could occur? All different types of things. We could go sideways some more. We could pop up a little bit. We could drop down. We could drop down to different levels. Each one of those occurrences, PatternCast has a scenario for it, and also a probability that it may play out. And so what we do is we pick what we think is the sweet spot, as I said earlier, and then provide that. And that sweet spot we usually try to pick, if we can, we pick 100% occurrence, but usually we try to pick about a 90% occurrence. And that has translated maximize the the edge with huge return on capital. Ernie, if thousands of people start using PatternCast and Yale the calls, won't that limit its success the more people using? I don't think so, because you got to remember there aren't thousands of people trading PatternCast right now. There's about 300. They all come in at different times. They don't all, we provide signals, but it's not like everybody hits a signal and bam, they're all in and they hit the buy or sell at the same time. They don't hit the buy or sell at the exact same time. They use a little bit of discretion, or maybe they didn't see it right away, or maybe it's not set up the same way as the other guy, and so everybody gets in at a little bit different time. Plus, there are millions of people out there trading this, and lots of algorithms and other things. We would have to have tens of thousands of traders that are all hitting it at the same time in order to really impact the market. So I don't, and there are other services out there that have way more people than we do that are calling things. And, they have their take, we have our take. I think that there's enough variety out there that really will never be an issue. Maybe if we get 100,000, or 50,000 users and they're all on a, some sort of auto trader, then, yeah, we might have some great influence on the market. But that's not, it's certainly not going to be a problem for a long time. But it's a good question. A lot of people ask that question. So from a, let's see, let's go look at this volume profile. And let's take a look at the weekly chart. So you'll see that there are three primary, we need the chart. There are three primary nodes on the volume profile. And why is that important? Nodes are where price tends to gravitate towards. Now, a lot of people say that nodes, these volume nodes, represent support and resistance, which is just wrong. The node themselves doesn't represent support or resistance. It's actually the edge of the node to the middle of the well that represents support and resistance. The node itself, or the apex of that node, what some people call the point of control, or the POC, that tends to have price gravitate towards it and then likes to trade inside that node. It's the edges of the node that really make the difference. That's a pretty big distinction there, and a lot of people don't understand that. But in any event, we're sitting right now just about right on the apex of that node at about 8,000. Almost exactly. And so we could go either way, but the bottom of that node, on the bottom edge, is providing support, and the top of it is providing resistance. Now, we have another node down here that's around 7,000. It's actually at 6,400. That's pretty big. It's bigger than this one, and there's a big volume well in between. And if we enter that volume well, it's very likely, or there's a high degree of probability, that we could slip down all the way down to that 6,500 mark. Or we could get in there and then get an almost immediate buy-up of price and come right back to this node. Those are the two possible behaviors that we could see. Well, those are the two possible behaviors that we're likely to see. Very rarely does it stop in the middle and then just hang out there for a while, because there's little activity, or there's few people out there holding positions that want to defend it or take profit or move away from that or whatever in those positions. They want to get to one of the nodes. That's where they're more likely to be. And you can see, I mean, that is what they represent. So these nodes actually represent the current market structure out there. This is where people are holding positions or defending areas, defending levels. So that's very interesting. Now, should we move up, it becomes a slippery slope. If we were to zoom in on this, and let's see, if we took the volume node itself, or the whole volume profile, and increased it. Just made it bigger so we can see more of it. Just make it bigger. So we can see that this node isn't just this small sliver of, that's pointing out here, but it has kind of a base to it too. And that's why I drew this rectangle here. That this kind of defines that base. So that width, that area, is probably, most of that node. And that's important, because that's typically where price is going to go up and down through. And if you look at the wick on this big candle down, it just about touches the bottom of that node. All right? And then the trade is to the top of that node, which makes a lot of sense, because that's a typical pattern in volume profile where price will move up and down from the bottom extent to the top extent of a node. Now, if you want to learn more about this, you can go down and I'll provide a link. But if you go to traderoffutures.com/replay, you can buy my course. I have a replay of a $500 course that I gave to several hundred people for $39, and you can learn all about trading the volume profile. All right, so you go to traderoffutures.com/replay, and from there, you can buy that course and learn more about this. All right, talking head, where are you? Here's the talking head. All right. So that's, from our point of view. Now, there's also, within that node, this is sort of a smaller portion, or a zoomed-in portion of that node. I keep on forgetting I'm not showing you. So I've zoomed into the node. It's a 45-minute view. So we're not getting all of the volume profile that we saw in that weekly view. However, these smaller nodes are significant too, because you can see that, there's a volume well here, and this is a more recent volume well and node and attractiveness that occurred. And when we zoom out, that accumulates more data from the past that also has some significance. But we can look, when we start zooming in on different time frames, we can start trading in smaller time frames with those volume nodes. It's all kind of fractal. The interesting thing is that the longer term pictures, the daily and the weekly, they also exert influence even at these shorter time frames. They have if you've done any kind of multi-time frame analysis, then you'll know that the longer time frames tend to be dominant over the shorter time frames in the big picture. But the shorter time frames, you can still use the artifacts that were created in that short time frame, for shorter term trades. So right now that kind of represents the top and bottom of the bigger node, as you can see. Our all the way down here. Because if we went back to that picture, that's all the way down here at about 7,700, all the way up to here, which is 8,700. So all the way down here at about 7,700, all the way up here, that is the size of that node. And so it makes sense when you start looking at this trade that PatternCast elucidated for us. It is literally picking the edges of the node to trade between. And if you're a volume profile trader, or if you're a market profile trader, that is a standard trade in market profile. Now, like I said, PatternCast knows nothing about market profile or volume profile, yet it found through its pattern recognition that entry. And we don't question it because it's so right most of the time. I can only imagine what will happen when we start inputting the volume profile data. We have to figure out how to do that. All right. So as I said, that's about all I have to say today. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Go down and click the like button. And if you're not a member, and if you're a little bit unsure about PatternCast, then buy a month of it and just try it out. It's not going to cost you very much. And if you buy into the month and we're past that date, I will hold the yearly price for you. If then you want to go to the yearly price. But if you don't do that, and you're coming in clean after October 5th, that's it. But, the yearly price is such a great deal. It really is. We already have now, let's see, we have 155 customers inside of the Bitcoin service. We're looking to, by October 5th, add maybe another 150 people. And after that, we're probably not interested in getting too many. 155 people is a good sweet spot for us. So we can get to about 300 people in that crypto space. We figure that it will be enough people that can start creating a buzz around the industry for this service. And you'll benefit because you'll be in early on, getting it at the best possible price. And then when demand starts going up and we raise prices, you're going to be locked into that price forever. Rajdat, yes, we are still in that trade. We do not get out of it. There's no reason to get out of it. None whatsoever. No reason to get out of that trade. Well, the only reason to get out of that trade is if 4 days have expired or if another trade comes along. Another signal that gets triggered. All right. That's all I've got for you today. I want to thank you very much for showing up. And we'll see you next video. I'll come on. I'm going to actually broadcast this trade live later on. So I'll probably come on later tonight and put this out there and then keep it going for the next day or so. I want it to be captured live. And that's kind of cool. In the same way we captured this big drop live. That was very, very cool. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next video.